Hello and welcome. My name is Michaela, and I have an entire playlist of videos related to transgender topics. And today's topic is reasons why you shouldn't transition. For those of you who are considering whether or not you would like to go through a sex change, you are starting to question if you're born in the wrong body, this type of thing, I want to make this video specifically for you. I want to give you the wisdom that I wish I had back when I was in your shoes. Now, to give a little background information, when I was about 18, I started to transition. On my 18th birthday is when I started taking testosterone and masculinizing my body. About 4 years after that, I stopped taking it, and it's been, 2-3 years since then? My voice is still like this. And so this is something I really want to make clear to people, is that you can't take back transitioning. It's really important to make sure that people understand that when you go down this path, when you take hormones, when you have surgeries, they cannot be undone. Yes, when you have your breast removed, you could get breast implants, but breast implants aren't going to feed a child. Yes, when your voice drops, you could have surgery to make your vocal cord a little higher pitched, but there's a chance it could completely damage your vocal cord. Yes, you could get laser hair removal, but I've heard bad things about that too. The point is that you can't undo your transition. Once you've made this choice, once you've gone down that path, part of you will never be the same. And this is not a decision to make lightly. This is not something to take lightly. When you are thinking about transitioning, you need to understand that there are consequences to what you will be getting yourself into. It's not flipping a light switch on and off. These are big permanent changes that will affect your fertility. They will affect your health. They affect every part of you because our hormones affect so much when it comes to our bodies. When I was on testosterone, I did not menstruate for the 4 years I was on it. And other than being on testosterone, I have never missed a period. It really changes the way your body's functioning, and it's very important to understand this. And I can't really speak on a male taking estrogen perspective. I am female and I took testosterone, so that's what I have to go off of. I do know that people who I have heard of that are male and take estrogen almost never are able to have kids afterwards. And that's something that at age 18, I wasn't ready to make that decision. I don't think a lot of people are ready to have kids at the age of 18, and I wasn't. I didn't think I would ever want kids. And I could have taken away my ability to do that. And I'm lucky that I can still have kids. So these are important things you need to think about before medically transitioning. Socially transitioning, it does actually give you some perspective on who actually is there for you. The people who have stuck by my side when I transitioned, when I detransitioned, they would have loved me no matter what I did because they loved me. And if you lose people for transitioning, you're better off without them, frankly. You're better off without those people in your life. Socially, you should just be yourself. And I personally do not think that you need to take hormones in order to be male and wear a dress. You don't need to take hormones in order to be a woman and be taken seriously. You just need to be you, and for the people who can't accept you, for the people who can't see you, that is their loss. Now, if you're feeling discomfort with your body and you want to medically transition to get rid of the dysphoria that you're feeling towards your body, I would encourage you to first try therapy related to your physical discomfort before even going into transgender stuff. I think it would be a great idea to look into, okay, what part of my body am I uncomfortable with? And dive into that. Maybe you don't remember a trauma that happened when you were a child, but maybe there is trauma there that you have blocked from your mind because it was too painful to remember. Maybe you don't like the way men look at you, and that's what makes you uncomfortable with your chest. It's important to understand where your discomfort is coming from, to really dive into it, and to not fall for this whole, well, oh my gosh, I must be born in the wrong body because everyone else has these same symptoms. People can have the same symptoms and still have all kinds of different things going on. And I personally believe that all dysphoria comes from trauma, social trauma, and physical trauma. I think it's that people want to be able to express themselves and be themselves. And a lot of times it feels like we have to change the way we look on the outside so that people can accept us for who we are on the inside. I am a very free-spirited person. I don't like to be told what to do. I don't like to just submit to everyone else's needs all the time. That's not a part of my nature. But I'm still a woman. I don't need to be a man to be that authentic part of myself. I don't need to be a man to be authoritative. I don't need to be a man to step into my power and my authenticity. My body is female, and there's nothing wrong with that. And for such a long time, I thought because I'm this strong-willed, right-brained kind of person, very logical, I fit in better with boys growing up, right? I understood boys better because I didn't like all the things the girls were doing. I didn't understand the whole dressing up, wearing high heels, putting on makeup. To me, that was a drag. I wanted nothing to do with it. And I also had discomfort with my body related to trauma that I did not remember. Trauma that I pushed down too. There were things I did remember and was like, well, they were my age, so it didn't matter. It's important to not ignore these emotions, these feelings. I really strongly encourage you to figure out what it is you're feeling before you do any sort of medical transitioning. I know you feel like, I gotta do this now, I gotta rush into this. But I promise you, your future self will thank you for taking the time to really dive into this and look at the matter and be like, okay, what is going on here? Let me look at this and understand every single aspect of myself. They don't make you jump through a lot of hoops to transition. And I really don't agree with that. I never have. I think that there should be some sort of way to prevent people from going through this too soon, especially. There are records of children at the age of 5 transitioning. And to me, that makes my stomach sick. At age 18, did I know that I wanted to have kids? No. How do you expect a 5-year-old to make that decision? And if that 5-year-old gets on puberty blockers and they don't go through their natural puberty, they will never be able to have kids. That is such a huge decision to be making at age 5. And let's say that you're an adult. Let's say that you are 25 and you want to transition. I still encourage you to look into why. Go deep into the why. Do not just go, well, I'm dysphoric. I feel uncomfortable. Why do you feel uncomfortable? Where do you feel uncomfortable? What about it makes you uncomfortable? I wanted my chest to be flat because I was dysphoric. But in all honesty, I wanted my chest to be flat because I didn't like the way men looked at me. I didn't like the way men whistled at me. And I didn't like how big my chest was. For such a tiny person, I had a huge chest, and it was annoying. It was in the way all the time of everything. And for all of you big-breasted women out there, you understand what I'm talking about when you're jogging. Not only is it annoying for you, but you know everyone around you is watching. And that only makes it 10 times worse, right? So I did not like having a big chest. I didn't like the attention. I didn't like how uncomfortable it was, how big it was. People think having big boobs is a great thing until you have them. And I did not enjoy it. But at the time, I just told myself, I'm dysphoric. I need to cut them off. I need to get rid of them. And I didn't jump into it immediately. I let the testosterone shrink my chest, right? That's something that the doctors didn't even tell me, is that when you take testosterone, it can shrink your chest. And I think it often does. For me, I went from a 34D to a 34A just from testosterone. That's a big change, to go from like a huge chest to like almost nothing. And even then, I still took it a step further and I went and got surgery because I wanted my chest flat. I wanted to have people look at me and think I was a man. I wanted to be able to walk around shirtless like all the guys do. I wanted equal rights. I wanted to be seen as an equal. That's what I was really desiring there. I wanted to have the same rights that men have. I wanted to be allowed to just have my shirt off. I wanted to walk around existing without drawing everyone's attention. And so having a flat chest gave me that thing that I was desiring. But now I've lost an even greater desire because of it. Because at that time, when I didn't realize I would want kids, in the future I grew up and realized I do want kids. And now how am I supposed to breastfeed without breasts? These are things that you need to think about before you transition. And I mean really think about it. Don't give it a night of sleep and go, yeah, maybe I should stab myself with a needle every week. This is a big deal. I encourage you to know where the hormones you're thinking about pumping in your body come from. Do you know how they're made? Do you know that they come from pigs usually? It's important to understand what you're putting in your body. And it's also important to understand what it's going to do to you. It's important to understand that it is putting you at certain risks as well. For females, when you take testosterone, you are more at risk for developing ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, uterine cancers. And part of this is because it disrupts your natural cycle in that area. So when you're disrupting that, it might stop your body from ovulating and cause your ovaries to have cysts. It is making these things a lot more likely to happen than you realize. And the women's cycle is important because it is how our body cleanses itself. Every month, we need to cleanse our body through the shedding of our uterine lining. We are releasing what our body no longer needs. And I even got to the point where I actually missed my periods. And that is saying a lot, considering I had such heavy periods. I was severely anemic from them. I had such heavy periods and painful periods that I wouldn't get up and go to school pretty much every month. I would go at least a few days not being able to go to school. I can't tell you how many times my mom had to bring me a spare pair of clothing because I bled through them. It even got to the point where she refused to come anymore because she's like, well, just bring something at this point. I'm not doing this anymore. I had horrible, horrible periods that were not normal. They shouldn't be like that. And I actually missed them because I could feel that my body wasn't cleansing herself like she was supposed to. So again, you need to be informed on what you're actually doing. The doctor gives you a list of, hey, this is going to make your voice deeper. This is going to make your body hairier, make your skin oilier. And it might pose you at risks for like certain cancers or whatever. We don't need to talk about that. Right? They kind of brush that under the rug. Even then, they're not telling you everything. They're not describing this entire experience to you. They're telling you that, hey, this is going to make you be more like a man. But it's also important to understand that the body is what it is. We can alter it to resemble a man's, but it's still never going to be a man's. And I get that's probably really painful to hear. I would have cried having heard that in the past before I learned how to accept my body. Because I was so caught up in the idea that I was born in the wrong body. And I think this is a very toxic mentality. I think a lot of times people want to be a part of this community. They feel like they have to go through all these things so that they fit in and so they can be part of the trans community. So they can fit in because this is the only place they fit in. This is where they're supposed to be. This is who they are. They have the same symptoms as these other people. And so, don't do this for social reasons. Don't do this because you feel like everyone else will accept you if you do this. I want people to strongly think about their emotions. Can you process your own emotions? If you cannot process your own emotions properly, can you make an educated decision on this? I don't think so. I was the kind of person who would suppress things I didn't know how to deal with. I learned that that's how I deal with emotions growing up, is throw them under the rug, pretend they're not there. If you don't know how to deal with it, then shove it down until it pops out of you and explodes. So you can imagine me transitioning. I was shoving down all these feelings I didn't know how to deal with. I didn't know what I was doing. And I can say that and own up to it. I did not know what I was doing. I read the paperwork. I knew what it was going to do to my body to some extent. I had no idea where the testosterone was coming from. I had no idea that as somebody who doesn't eat animals, I was injecting myself with pig hormones. I had no idea what I was doing, really. And I think a lot of people out there don't know where the hormones come from. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how it's affecting their body. They're just concerned with, I have to feel better. I have to not feel depressed. I'm living proof that if you are depressed and you feel like there's something wrong, you have all the transgender symptoms of body dysphoria, social dysphoria, that you can actually let that go without living as the opposite sex. We've been taught that if you feel a certain way, you must go down this path. But I do not want more people to end up like me. I do not want more people to regret making that decision and to take away certain things from themselves that they really missed out on. Will I ever be able to breastfeed? Will I ever be able to sing with that high-pitched voice that I used to sing with when I was in choir? I lost a part of myself during this transition in order to find so much of myself. It's a process that I had to go through. And I hope that through this video, you can hear my wisdom and that you can find yourself, that big part of yourself that you've been missing, without having to make the same mistakes that I did. Now please love yourself and love your body and make what choice your future self will thank you for.